Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to Primary Market Chatter brought to you by Sunday Investing. This is the November 2nd week IPOs. We'll be talking about seven companies today, but before we get started, just want to highlight a couple of things. One, no IPOs are really popping, so make sure that you take everything. Like the general sentiment is not good, so whatever you are doing, consider this only as a view to know about the fundamentals of the company. And again, like I every time say, make sure that you are doing your own due diligence. And हम लोग SEBI certified research analyst नहीं है, so we don't have a qualified opinion. It's just that what we will be going to do with our IPO strategy, like what we did last week as well. Again, it's not been a good week in terms of, at least in terms of IPOs, which people have held on to. Like they have also not moved as such. Lenskart also today closed flat only. But at least it came back flat, so which was good. Something is better, like at least lost money, like Orkla and Sturt. So it's a tough week, very, very tough week. Markets are extremely choppy. So like better to err on the side of caution if you are unsure. But what we'll do is we'll continue with our space and review the companies from the fundamentals perspective. But make sure you are doing your due diligence and being extra cautious, because capital saved is capital earned, and then you can deploy it some other time as well. So make sure that you are being very careful with our application, especially at this moment of time. Having said that, the second thing which I want to highlight is like I have pinned my YouTube channel above. If you haven't followed us on YouTube, go ahead and do that. And then I've also pinned my Instagram. तो अगर आप Instagram पे हमें follow नहीं करते हैं तो please go ahead and do that. हमने वहाँ पे नो ईयर प्रमोटर सीरीज की एक वो भी डाली है, फिनबट जो क्लोज हुआ उनका इंटरव्यू डाला था, एंड देन आईपीओ स्टोरी इन अ मिनट. वी हैव आल्सो पुट इन आईपीओ इंटरव्यू फॉर वर्कमेट्स. वी विल आल्सो बी कवरिंग इट टुडे, बट लाइक हम उसका एक 1 मिनट का इंस्टाग्राम रील भी डालेंगे, सो गो अहेड एंड फॉलो अस ऑन इंस्टाग्राम एज वेल. With that, we can get started for the day. We have a lot to cover, so we'll probably keep it fast. We'll start with Curis. Setting up Curis, incorporated in 2010. Company is a pharma company specializing in development, manufacturing, and distributing diverse range of pharmaceutical products globally and domestically on a loan license or contract basis, as well as for its own brand marketing. So that's with respect to Curis. Setting it up, it's a 27.5 crore IPO, 27 crore का IPO, all of which is a fresh issue. Market cap 103 crore का है. FY25 रेवेन्यू 50 करोड़ है, पैट 6 करोड़ है, तो 16 के पी पे आ रहा है FY25 बेसिस पे. एलएम नया है, एलएम फाइनेक्स कैपिटल है. सो ओवर टू यू सचिन टू क्विकली टॉक अबाउट क्यूरिस.
Am I audible?
Yep.
All right. So this Curis Lifesciences, they are Gujarat based, and basically they are a pharma manufacturer that they offer their services to and production capacities to these B2B clients, where they make tablets, capsules, oral liquids, और जेल्स भी बनाते हैं, ointments, sterile stuff, all of they manufacture, and all of this they operate on basis of three verticals. One is loan licensing, one is contract manufacturing, and their own branded sales are very minimal, around 1 to 2% only for now. So that is their basic business. So they have a single facility which they have received some certifications from the African health associations as well as from the WHO GMP certified as well. And that facility caters to all these tablets, capsules, and liquids. All are manufactured under one facility. Now, for the capacity utilization, their tablets is getting a higher share in their revenues, so and as well as in their capacity utilization. Around 66% is capacity utilized for tablets, 28 to 30% for orals and steriles, and around 20% for capsules. Now, coming to their clients, they have some good clients in India as well as in the African nations as well, Kenya and Ghana, etc. They are also targeting some new regions like Myanmar, Philippines, etc. All of these regions where they export, they are not exporting directly. They are exporting via merchant exporters, but for now, that is the case with them. Direct exports, they haven't mentioned will they go or not. So that is a thing that will need some analysis going ahead. Now coming to their financials in FY23, they did around 35 CR of revenues with around 6 to 7% EBITDA. In FY24, the revenues were almost flat, same number, 35 CR. This was because they were trying to get more licenses for liquids, but they unfortunately could not get that, and just to get the business back on track, they decided to manufacture more tablets, but the realization in tablets is low compared to what they get when they manufacture liquids. So because of that, their revenues remain stagnant, and the margins etc as well were also similar to FY23. Back again in FY25, they did around 49 CR of revenues with 19% EBITDA and near 11% PAT. Now they also have given financials till July FY26, where they did 19 CR of revenues with around 20% EBITDA, as the um, capacity for this liquids now is started to move again. So now they are getting better margins, around 20% EBITDA and 13% PAT margins as well. Their working capital estimates suggest similar, around 40 to 50% growth this year. But one thing that needs to be tracked is the operating cash flow. It has been negative from FY25. So if that matches along with the higher margin, so that should be good. Uh, Otherwise, it can be another similar pre-IPO margin bump. Now coming to their IPO pricing and this fund utilization, around 4.5 CR is for upgrading their machines in that facility that is already there. They are also trying to get more storage for the stuff that they manufacture, so they will use some funds for that also. Some part is for loan repayment, around 2 CR, and they are now also trying to develop more into the sterile and ophthalmic products. So for that they will spend some money on registration, and around the rest of capital is for working capital. Given the IPO price, it's near 16 to 17 times FY25 and probably near 12 to 13 times FY26. Peers who do similar operations like basic contract manufacturing and loan licensing, they trade in this similar 15 to 18 range only. But if this Curis is doing some higher growth, so it should get some higher multiple. Anchor list was okay. Sanchi was there. One MAIQ long fund was also there. So these were the two notable names in the anchor list. Pre-IPO was also done last year, I think. Strategic Six Fund, some HNIs was also there. Capital Trade Links was also there. Lead manager here is new, some Gujarat-based lead manager, and this is probably their first mandate only. Now coming to the final thing, I think it's decent on valuations as well as the operations, but somehow I personally think that it may not get higher multiples due to the very nature of the work that they're doing. Like the value addition is not very much here. Also, they are steadily increasing both the customer bases and their penetration across these different geographies, both India and overseas. So that should help them. So for now, I will personally not decided yet to apply or not, but let's see.
Thanks, सचिन. Yeah, I was looking QI भी तो भर गया है यार, एटेक्स तो कुछ तो है शायद इसमें, और छोटा सा कंपनी है, अगर प्री-आईपीओ भी है, एंकर भी सांची है, तो आई थिंक
IPO
डाउन
price
साइड
तो
शुड बी कैप्ड.
IPO प्राइस तो प्रोटेक्टेड ही है ऑलमोस्ट.
हाँ वही वही, डाउन साइड शुड बी कैप्ड, अपसाइड डोंट नो. अपसाइड तो किसी का भी नहीं है, एंड आईपीओ प्राइस भी प्रोटेक्टेड लगता है अपने को, बट कितना होता है पता नहीं. So, so be careful with respect to that. But again, I'll also see. I'll probably apply a few years. Let's see. But yeah, only risk takers need to apply. I might apply a couple of lots here. But yeah, the segment as such is not super interesting. It's something which, at least at a high level, unless you understand what is the story, it seems like another Me Too company in this segment. There have been quite a few which have came and failed spectacularly, like Quest and all, no? So somehow not getting confidence. But yeah, that is with respect to Curis. With that, we'll move forward and we'll talk about the second company. Second company we'll discuss is Workmates Core2Cloud. Founded in 2018, company is a AWS premier consulting partner known for scalable and innovative cloud solutions across India, and has more than 200 clients across various industries like finance, healthcare, retail, etc. Setting up the IPO, it's a 70 crore IPO, all of which is a fresh issue. Market cap 265 crores का है. So 26% dilution. FY25 financials की बात करूं तो 108 crores का revenue है, 14 crores का PAT है. So 14 के PAT पे 264 यानी 18 times 19 times P पे आ रहा है FY25. LM Horizon है. So just very quickly talking about Workmates. Before that, just also want to highlight that we had also gotten the chance to talk to the CEO of Workmates, Kamal Naji. So if you haven't, go ahead and listen to that as well. The link is on the YouTube channel. I'll also try and find the link and post here as well. But yeah, just to set up the company. Before actually setting up the company, want to highlight the credentials of the promoter as well, because a lot of it, promoter and co-founder and CEO of Workmates, because a lot of it is also driven by him and the team. So it's basically a HCL में it's like back in the day HCL करके का HCL Comnet करके का IT company है which got merged into HCL. उसमें these guys used to work together, and this is very long back in the day, 1995 to 2012, and then Kamalnath ji moved from there to Sifi Technologies, जिसका भी like जिसके data center का भी IPO भी आ रहा है उसी ग्रुप की कंपनी. There he was the CEO from 2012 to 2024. So again has seen built big companies as an executive. So now he has joined this company and as a co-founder and is trying to move this company फॉरवर्ड. मैंने लिंक पिन कर दिया है, अगर आपने नहीं देखा है तो गो अहेड एंड वॉच दैट एज वेल. बट इन टर्म्स ऑफ व्हाट द कंपनी डज, इट्स आईटी सॉल्यूशंस कंपनी. बेसिकली क्लाउड पे किसी को भी मूव करना होता है ना, तो ये सॉल्यूशंस देते हैं जिससे क्लाउड पे मूव हो जाए, एंड अक्रॉस द लाइफ साइकिल सॉल्यूशंस देते हैं. लाइक डिप्लॉयमेंट हो गया, उसके बाद स्ट्रेटेजी क्या रहेगी, उसके फाइनली डिप्लॉयमेंट, उसके बाद मेंटेनेंस एक्सेट्रा. सो पूरी वैल्यू चेन में जो जो चीजें चाहिए होती हैं वो सब चीजें देते हैं, विच इज गुड. But I still think this is a slightly more commoditized segment. बहुत सारे players हैं. The good part for them is they are AWS premium certified player. तो AWS से इनका अच्छा relationship है. There are only 8 of such in India. But having said that, I still feel it's still a very commodity business. The answer of management to which was that it's more about the skills which they have been able to inculcate in their team and resources, and because of which they are able to do this work. But having said that, this is also a lot of relationship development, because you need to understand and showcase subject matter expertise in cloud deployment and cloud and cloud related solutions, which they are able to do simply because they have a working experience of so long. So maybe that is the key, but try and figure out what is their key to success. अभी वो लोग और mainly SMEs को target करते हैं, which is good. Like he was giving an example of one company called K Fintech, जिसको हम सब जानते होंगे, as a registrar start किया. So as and when their business has went up, they have also picked up more business from K Fintech, and K Fintech right now is their biggest client as well. And उसमें जो भी cloud पे move करनी होती है उनकी applications, they help them do that. And then a lot of their revenue is also coming as annuity. Like 80% of all revenue is annuity, 20% is what one time वाला होता है. I couldn't exactly fathom how that is. If you want to read more about that per se, but yeah, that is with respect to the business model of the company. What I couldn't exactly gather was that why do they in fact need to raise money? Simply because they have been like they are a cash generating business and have good internal accruals as well, but still it's a IPO. They wanted to, I think majorly it's for brand visibility per se. In terms of growth, last 3 years growth has been explosive. They went from 29 crores to 53 crores, 53 crores to 108 crores, and bottom line में भी वो दिख रहा है 2 से 5, 5 से 14. So growth has been very fast. Management is guiding for 50% growth in top line over the next 2 years as well, and then bottom line margin in the first year should be protected and second year margin should expand is what the guidance was. So guidance काफी upbeat है, but again it's a IT do you want to call it a cloud company or IT company is what you want to find out. Having said that, the anchor book is also good. There is Invicta Continuum Fund has taken like 10 CR worth of anchor. Then Bharat fund, which is Sunil Singhania's fund, they have also taken 5 CR. So anchor book in itself is a very niche anchor book. Mainly 2 anchors who have taken everything. So maybe there is more story and they will move forward. What we need to think is, will market value it as a IT company or as a cybersecurity or a AI company per se? Take an answer basis that it just seems that it is more towards second than first. I was naively of the opinion that it is first, but do form your own opinion and then try and take a call basis that the growth will be good. At least that is what they are projecting. And if the 80% business is annuity, then they need to just get new projects. But that's something which we saw with Meta Infotech as well. उसमें भी बोला तो ये गया था कि नए प्रोजेक्ट लाने में मुश्किल नहीं होगी कि होगी पुराने तो रिपीट होते रहेंगे. So that's one concern which, with respect to a business, but I'll give you one very good thing about the business. It is the quality of the executors, the quality of the management. It is a highly professional management which is running this company, which would be very, very rare for a SME of this quality. In terms of where it is coming, it's coming at 19 times trailing FY25, 19 times FY25, and then they have given the results for 4 months, which would make them somewhere, if you want to annualize them, then it will make it somewhere around 16 times. But I still think 19 times pay here, which is slightly expensive for a IT sector, I feel. But again, like वो क्या growth explosive होगी, so maybe because of which it might get cut. So it's about how market looks at it. Does it look at it as just another IT company like, and there have been quite a few which have came and haven't done very well. अभी OptiWell करके आई थी, उससे पहले I think Dell Plexus of the world, etc. If market looks at this company like that, then there's not a lot of growth left. There's not a lot of PE re-rating left. But if market looks at it like as a niche cloud deployment play, then there is something definitely on the table. So look at how you think the market will price it. In terms of short term, I really doubt there is a lot of, like, there is any downside. IPO price should be protected simply because like it's a decent enough company with enough interest, unless we like. So I think IPO price should be protected, but again, take a call basis how you want to feel and think about it per se. So that is what was there with respect to Workmates. With that, we will move forward and talk about the third company. The third company we'll be covering would be Mahamaya Mahamaya Lifesciences. Before that, just want to highlight, अगर आप पे कोई question हो तो definitely go ahead and post that in the chat box as well. We'll take questions after this. Setting up Mahamaya, incorporated in 2002, company specializes in manufacturing pesticide formations and supplying bulk products to Indian agrochemical companies and MNCs. Company provides crop and health, soil health management and helps farming community for more productivity. So agri की company है. अगेन 70 CR का IPO है, 64 CR फ्रेश है. हाँ ठीक है, 64 CR फ्रेश है. मार्केट कैप 267 crores है, very similar to the market cap with of that as well. The last company we were talking, Workmates, that is why I got confused. But FY25 financials की बात करें तो 267 crores का ही top line है. It seems like उन्होंने one time sales पे ही IPO ला दिया. And PAT 13 crores का है. So again 21 times type है FY25 पे, which is again expensive for every company, I feel. LM One View Corporate है. So over to you, Sachin, to quickly talk about Mahamaya.
Am I audible?
Yep.
All right. So this Mahamaya Lifesciences, what they do is they are a research driven this working in agrochemical space. So वो क्या करते हैं कि वो एक research करते हैं. They are a research intensive उनके process है, where they register new molecules. And generally this research takes around 5 to 6 years per molecule, where they spend their cost and all sorts of time and cost they spend. And then when the final product is made, and they also and this is on the back that they are doing research for formulations and products and chemicals that will largely be successful in the market. So when the final research is done and when their formulation is all made up, they give and supply all these pesticides and all of the herbicides, insecticides, fungicides which are made from these chemicals to these B2B industries, farmer wholesalers, etc. What they do is they source all of these active ingredients for these chemicals, which come mainly from China and Taiwan, because the quality and cost from these regions are very superior than what is available elsewhere. And then they focus on these formulations. They cater to all types of crops, rice, fruits, vegetable, pulses, tea, almost 15 to 20 types of crops they are catering to, for which they provide these chemicals. Now the client list includes some top names in this agrochemical space. Coromandel is there, Dhanuka Agritech is also there, So all of these, the revenue streams comes all from B2B clients only. Their B2C segment is steadily growing, but minimal at this stage only. They have one facility in Gujarat, and from there also, there only they also export to all other agriculture countries as well, like Brazil, Turkey, Egypt, Vietnam. So all of these countries also get the products of Mahamaya. Now, B2B constitutes around 40 to 45% of the revenues. The technical sales, which is the active ingredient where they directly sell, and where they import some active ingredients and they sell it to some another companies, that constitutes around 50% of their revenues. Some branded products which they manufacture in their own name, which is minimal at this current scale, that they supply to some distributors, which is around 4 to 5%, and the rest is export revenues. For export, they are targeting to increase the exposure to Middle East, South America as well in next 2 to 3 years time. So what they are doing typically in these export regions, as well as for the overall chemicals as well, that they are targeting low toxic molecules. लो टॉक्सिक मॉलिक्यूल्स में क्या है, दो रेगुलेटरी रिस्क इज लेस. तो उसमें रेगुलेटरी रिस्क लेस होने की वजह से द टाइम टेकन ऑन दैट रिसर्च is actually beneficial. Like after the research, you get to get the final molecule and the final formulation for their product. Now, coming to their plant capacity utilization, they operate at almost 100% of the capacity. So some capacity they are utilizing from outsourcing, and apart from that, for their own capacity, they are utilizing it 100%. Now, coming to their financials in FY23, they did around 137 crore of revenues with almost 5 to 6% EBITDA. 1 minute, let me check the EBITDA. No, around 9% EBITDA. Sorry. And in FY24, the EBITDA margin rose in the similar around. It was around 8 to 9% only, and the PAT was around 3 to 4%. The revenues rose to around 162 crore. In FY25, they got a larger jump to 264 crore of revenues, and the PAT was now near 5%. This large jump came because there was good monsoon in FY25. I'll come on this monsoon part later, because it is both positive and negative for them. And given they get to use this monsoon, as the monsoon was favorable, so the crop season was favorable, so their product sale was larger enough for FY25. Now they have also given some financials till Q1 FY26, where they did around 84 crore of revenues with similar 5% PAT. And if you annualize the revenues, it will come to around 300 crore plus for this year. The main benefit for them here is their research thing. So they say that they get almost 90% plus success rate in whatever active ingredients they use, and formulations and molecules that they finally make. So that is their moat here, you can say. Also, they are focusing on more than 200 plus formulations that they have made it up till now, and they are also focusing on more formulations going ahead. The risk here is monsoon. Actually, एक तरह से उनके लिए बेनिफिट भी है, बट इफ द मानसून extended and we see that the crops some crops don't do well in larger or in higher monsoon seasons, जब बारिश ज़्यादा होती है, so that can hit them. So for that they are targeting some export regions where they can, in the times where the Indian monsoons are higher, they can supply to export, and then they can diversify and mitigate this risk. Also, the active ingredients which are coming directly from China and Taiwan, so that is a certain risk if some geopolitical issues or some price hikes come in. And there is good competition from the mainboard players. UPL bhi hai, and PI Industries is also there. Also the working capital cycle, given they get into research and all, so wo extended rahega. So for that also funds will be needed. Client concentration is high, and they are saying that when we try to raise our export share to around 10 to 15%, so that will reduce going ahead. Now coming to the IPO, apart from the OFS, there is some fresh issue as well, where they are expanding their plant, because they are utilizing on 100% capacity, and they are also setting some research lab setup also for this active ingredient stuff only, and they are working on some research for some pilot project as well. Apart from this, the rest will be used for working capital for the current and the subsequent years. Now coming to the IPO price, it's near 16 times, probably 15 to 16 times FY26. And what they are trying to say that the average for their sector, which operates in this agrochemical, that is near 22 to 23 times. So for that reason only, they have priced it on FY25 basis near 20 times. Whereas if you look on forward time basis, it's near 15 to 16 times. For peers, they are trying to say that UPL and PI are our peers, though they are in mainboard and much larger and much better in efficiency. Now coming to the lead manager, Okesh lead manager, not so good record, decent enough. Anchor list was just now came only. We saw NAV Capital was there, RTIF is there, one Ibisu Global Opportunities Fund is also there. They also had some pre-IPO where we saw names like Minerva Fund was there, Siddharth Iyer is also there, Pink Tiger LLP was also there in the pre-IPO. Now coming to the final thing, I think it's okay on the valuations if you look on the forward basis. बट अगर इसको एग्री एंड क्रॉप कंपनी की तरह ट्रीट किया गया एसएमई में, सो देन दैट वुड नॉट बी अ जस्टिस बिकॉज फ्रेंकली इट इज अ रिसर्च बेस्ड कंपनी, दे आर डूइंग सम ग्राउंड स्टफ फॉर रिसर्च. So if that is factored in, it should get good value. Otherwise, it's a decent business enough. So I would personally be applying, but keep in mind that ये थोड़ा cyclical भी हो सकता है. So that one should keep in mind. That's all.
Got it. I also saw there were a few pre-IPO names as well. The anchor book is decent again. But I don't like the segment, so I'm definitely not looking at it as a long-term thing. I would probably see in passing if I want to apply an IPO or not closer to the date, but no plan to keep it for long. With that, we have covered the three SMEs. We are already half hour in. Maybe with that, we'll move to Pine Labs very quickly and try and set up Pine Labs. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box as well. We're going slightly fast today because start company and we want to wrap up everything faster. But setting up Pine Labs, incorporated in 1998, company is leading Indian merchant commerce platform that provides POS, point of sale solutions, payment processing and merchant financing services. तो जो हम क्रेडिट कार्ड डेबिट कार्ड वगैरह स्वाइप करते हैं जिन मशीन पे, ये वो मशीन प्रोवाइड करती है अपेरेंटली. Company empowers businesses from all sizes with digital payment technology and value-added services. IPO की बात करूं तो 4,000 करोड़ 3,900 करोड़ का IPO है. 2,100 फ्रेश है, 1,800 का OFS है. मार्केट कैप जिस पे कंपनी आ रही है 25,300 है. FY25 फाइनेंशियल की बात करूं तो 2325 का टॉप लाइन है, 2327 एंड पैट इज नेगेटिव -145 करोड़ का लॉस था. 145 करोड़ लॉस में थी कंपनी. एलएम की बात करूं तो एलएम एक्सिस, मॉर्गन स्टैनली, सिटी, जेपी मॉर्गन एंड जेफरीज है. सो व्हाट डू तन्मय टू टॉक अबाउट पाइन लैब्स?
आवाज आ रहा है मेरा ठीक से?
यस.
So, Pine Labs Limited is a fintech unicorn working on digitizing commerce through digital payments and issuing solutions to merchants, brands, enterprises, financial institutions like banks, NBFCs, insurance companies, etc. So, इनके तीन मेन बिजनेस है. फर्स्ट इज योर डिजिटल इंफ्रा, सेकंड इज योर ट्रांजैक्शन प्लेटफॉर्म एंड थर्ड इज इशूइंग एंड एक्वायरिंग प्लेटफॉर्म. So in FY25, the company facilitate transactions, worth 11.4 lakh crores. As on June 30th, 2025, its services are used by 9.9 lakh merchants, 716 consumer brands, and 177 financial institutions. So, मतलब, इसको अगर मैं समराइज करूँ तो ये क्या क्या करता है, This company is majorly termed as a POS machine company, point of sales. अभी ये क्या होता है, आप जब लेट से वेबसाइट शॉपिंग करने जाओ तो आपको हाथ में वो व्हाइट कलर का बॉक्स दिखा जिसपे आप ऑनलाइन पेमेंट कर रहे हो या फिर कार्ड स्वैप कर रहे हो, या फिर गो टू हल्दीराम, द पेमेंट जिसपे आता है दैट इज अ पाइन लैब POS मशीन. बट दिस कॉन्सेप्ट वाज टिल 2018-19. उसके बाद द कंपनी हैज फॉरवर्ड इंटीग्रेटेड इनटू मल्टीपल थिंग्स. तो बैकएंड में पूरा सॉफ्टवेयर का भी काम करता है, अपसेलिंग करता है, क्रॉस सेलिंग करता है, उसके बाद लॉयल्टी रिवॉर्ड्स पे भी काम करता है, गिफ्ट कार्ड्स पे भी काम करता है, उसके बाद बैकएंड टेक होता है, सॉफ्टवेयर होता है. सो एंड टू एंड सॉल्यूशंस पे काम करता है. एंड द रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्निशन मॉडल इज फिक्स पेमेंट प्लस द वेरिएबल फी की वॉल्यूम ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शन जितने बढ़ेंगे उतने इनका रेवेन्यू करेगा, रेवेन्यू बढ़ते रहेगा. सो ऐसा लाइक ये सिंपल कहते हैं कि यू डोंट पे मी लेट्स से ₹1,00,000, यू आप जितना ट्रांजेक्शन करोगे उसके हिसाब से आप मेरे को उतना एक छोटू सा फिक्स फी देते रहना, सो दैट as the merchant or the brands or whatever growth is happening, Pine Labs is also the participant in that growth. Okay. So, company Pine Labs is India's largest player in closed and semi-closed gift card issuances in India. Uh, अभी इसका आप एक चीज देखो तो आउट ऑफ इंडिया भी इनके 28 इशूअर्स है विच आर इनटू 17 कंट्रीज विच यूज पाइन लैब्स एंड टू एंड सर्विसेज विच इंक्लूड्स इशूइंग, acquiring and transaction processing softwares. अभी आप इसका ये चीज देखोगे तो इन टर्म्स ऑफ रेवेन्यूज 15% इनका आउट ऑफ इंडिया आता है, 95% is in India, and the overseas chunk has been increasing from like last 3 years. अभी तक इन्होंने 330 बिजनेस एप्लीकेशन सॉफ्टवेयर बनाए विच आर held and used for different solutions. The company is raising 3,900 crores, out of which 2,080 are embarked towards a fresh issue and 1,820 crores will go towards an offer for sale. Out of 2,080, 760 is towards IT assets. तो उसके अंदर ये इन्होंने 230 allocate किए towards IT assets and cloud infrastructure, 430 के towards BCPs and technology development में 100 किए हैं, and the company is also repaying 532 crore worth का debt, and they have kept 60 crores for overseas expansion, and rest 730 crores of fresh issues for inorganic opportunities, which means acquisitions of few companies and general corporate purposes GCPs. तो टॉकिंग ऑन दी डेट पार्ट, इन पे कुछ 700 करोड़ टाइप का डेट है, उसमें से 530 पे ऑफ कर रहे हैं, एंड एक्चुअली इट्स अ नेट डेट पॉजिटिव कंपनी. रीजन बिंग कंपनी के बुक्स पे 1100 करोड़ का कैश आईपीओ के पहले से पड़ा हुआ है. ठीक है. सो एक्चुअली इट इज अ डेट फ्री, वर्चुअली डेट फ्री कंपनी. अभी इसके क्लाइंट्स की बात करें तो क्लाइंट्स आर प्रिटी लार्ज एंड बहुत सारे नेम्स लाइक एसबीआई, एचडीएफसी, आईसीआईसीआई, एक्सिस, डीमार्ट, ट्रेंट लिमिटेड, एलजी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, सैमसंग, नाइका, क्रेड, लेंसकार्ट, जेडब्ल्यू मैरियट, मैरियट इंटरनेशनल, अपोलो ग्रुप, अमेजोन, फ्लिपकार्ट, बीपीसीएल, मैकडोनल्ड, स्टारबक्स, बहुत सारे मतलब अनगिनत कस्टमर्स. सो इतना आपको समझ में आएगा. सो दिस कंपनी is the technology part of the fintech, and it is not a financial company जो loans देता है. It is not that payment. It is a payment infrastructure company, not a payment company. तो ये it is the technology of that fintech world. ठीक है. So, by the way, company doesn't have any kind of promoters. It's a professionally managed company. इसके अंदर 18% से कोई कैपिटल ओन करता है. Actis owns somewhat around 5%. PayPal, which is a world giant fintech company, owns somewhat around 4.5%. Mastercard owns 4%. AIM Investments owns 2.5%. Madison, Sofina, and there are many more investors on the cap table. Coming on its financials, FY23 में 1598. So by the way, I'm talking just about operating income. Other income I'm not considering. So Pine Labs का FY23 operating revenue was 1598 crores with an EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA of 197. By the way, it is a profit. Adjusted EBITDA is positive at 197, but at a net loss of 265 crores. In FY24, it jumped to 1770 crores, which was a jump of 11%. But EBITDA had dropped by like somewhere around 20% to 158, and actual losses widened to 342. But in FY25, the revenue increased by 28% to 2274 crores, and EBITDA of plus 357 crores with a net loss of 145 crores. इसका Q1 पे बात करें तो 616 का रेवेन्यू था, 120.6 का EBITDA था, 4.8 का पैट था. सो द सेम थिंग्स कम इन की यार, आईपीओ के पहले अचानक क्या जादू हो जाता है और कंपनी प्रॉफिट्स में आ जाती है जो पहले लॉसेस में थी. सो इसके अंदर 2-3 एडजस्टमेंट्स है, आप इसको अच्छे से देखना. फर्स्ट इज अराउंड कितना था, 14 करोड़ का डेफर्ड टैक्स क्रेडिट है. ठीक है. फॉर दैट रीजन इट इज अ पैट पॉजिटिव कंपनी. आप इसको निकालोगे तो लॉस ही आ जाएगा. ठीक है. और अदर इनकम में भी एक ठीक ठाक जंप है, विच वॉज नॉट देयर अर्लियर. बहुत अच्छा सिग्निफिकेंट जंप है. और इसके फाइनेंशियल्स में मैंने देखा तो द ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट हैव एक्चुअली गॉन डाउन, even though the revenues inched up by somewhat around 18%. So transaction cost had dropped by 2-3%. मुझे समझ नहीं आया, like maybe it is an operational efficiency, but at least I could not get the clarity. Reason being I am not from that industry. तो transaction cost क्यों कम हुआ, I'm not getting it. उसके बाद एक मैंने इंटरेस्टिंग चीज देखी कि इनका पीएनएल में आइटम एक्सपेंसेस साइड पे इम्पेयरमेंट लॉसेस ऑन फिक्स्ड एसेट्स एंड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एसेट्स. सो FY25 में पूरे साल का इनका 30 करोड़ था, Q1 में ही ये हो गया 13.6, so annualize करके 53, actually it is lost, but when I looked at Q1 FY24 it was at somewhere around 10 crores. तो इतना आप समझ लो कि Q1 में ये जो impairment losses होते which are these are higher than your whole year, मतलब Q2 Q3 Q4 का कम होता है, Q1 is higher, so शायद from Q2 the ये जो छोटा सा difference that should also inch up those at least the bottom line, EBITDA adjusted EBITDA तो उतना ही रहेगा. Uh, and also the debt repayment which they are doing that should save somewhere around 40-45 crores per annum, but वो Q4 ही में ही mostly impact दिखाएगा, so उससे 10-11 करोड़ बचेगा. So for this year mostly at PAT level it should be in losses, slight losses, not very heavy losses, but it should be in slight losses. अभी वैल्यूएशन पे बात करें तो ये आ रहा है 25,377 करोड़, विच इज समवट अराउंड $2.9 billion बॉल पार्क. एक्चुअली इसका पीक वैल्यूएशन FY22 में वाज समवट अराउंड $4.5 billion, और इसको मैं अगर फ्रेश इशू अभी का निकालूं तो एक्चुअली इट इज कमिंग एट 45-50% डिस्काउंट. So one will say कि यार डिस्काउंट है, फी फंड्स नेट आई गेस Temasek had invested if I'm not wrong, and I guess Invesco also had invested at a higher price. So वन माइट से कि सस्ता मिल रहा है, बट द थिंग इज यार FY22 में जो फिनटेक था ना, ये बहुत अलग टेंजेंट पे जा चुका था. नाउ द थिंग्स आर वेरी डिफरेंट. अभी बहुत सारे ऑल्टरनेटिव्स आ गए एंड देयर आर मेनी मोर व्हिच आर कमिंग अप, एंड द ग्रोथ दैट टाइम वाज लाइक क्रेजी. कोविड में द यूपीआई, उसके बाद जो यूपीआई का बम्प आया दैट वाज क्रेजी. तो उस टाइम की जो फंडिंग का जो कहते हैं ना क्रेज था इन फिनटेक्स वेर वेरी डिफरेंट. सो आई डोंट फील कि वो वैल्यूएशंस एट दिस पॉइंट आर रियलिस्टिक इन नेचर. नाउ कमिंग ऑन द रियल वैल्यूएशन की कितने पे आ रहा है, सो इट इज कमिंग एट 69 times FY25 EBITDA. सो इसका ईवी में से व्हाट आई हैव डन इज मार्केट कैप में मैंने डेट ऐड किया है माइनस द लिक्विड एसेट विच इज समवट अराउंड 1100 crores, मतलब 700 ऐड हुआ 1100 माइनस हुआ, सो इट इज मार्केट कैप माइनस 400, बहुत रफ में बता रहा हूँ. सो इट इज 69 times FY25, 45 times 47 times FY26 and 29.5 times FY27. So ये जो 29.5 नंबर था, दिस वाज एग्जैक्टली एज पर लेंस कार्ड. ठीक है, सो मतलब प्राइसिंग दोनों की एक्चुअली सिमिलर है, बिकॉज इनको आप 1 year फॉरवर्ड, सो 26 तो खत्म ही हो गया आपका एक्चुअल इन टर्म्स ऑफ एटलीस्ट वैल्यूएशन वाइज, और फाइनेंशियल ईयर इट इज लाइक समवट अराउंड नवंबर मिड नाउ. सो FY27 के हिसाब से सबका IPO वैल्यूएशन किया गया. सो इफ यू जस्ट लुक एट बोथ आर वैल्यूड एट 30 times 27, which is I won't say not exorbitant, but neither attractive also. मतलब कह लो decent, कह लो reasonable भी मैं नहीं कह सकता, 25 में मैं reasonable बोलता. सो इसके अंदर व्यू बड़ा क्लियर है यार कि लिस्टिंग गेन्स आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू अप्लाई. लिस्टिंग गेन्स तो मतलब इवन अगर लेंस का 15% 20% भी खोलता, स्टिल इसके अंदर लिस्टिंग गेन्स तो थे ही नहीं. सो डोंट थिंक कि मार्केट का सेंटिमेंट खराब है आज जो हुआ, फॉर दैट रीजन आई एम टेलिंग लिस्टिंग गेन के लिए मतलब इसमें है ही नहीं. तो आइदर विच वेज नॉट अप्लाइंग फॉर लिस्टिंग गेन्स, एंड हाई रिस्क टेकर्स कैन इवैल्यूएट फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म. एंड लाइक मेरा सिंपल व्यू इसके अंदर. सो and also talking about the competition, Razer Pay is valued at $9 billion, $8 billion, $8 or $9 billion, एंड उसका स्केल इससे खाली 5% ज्यादा है. FY25 का इसका उसका रेवेन्यू इससे खाली 5% ज्यादा इज व्हाट आई नो. बट इट इज अ पैट पॉजिटिव कंपनी के 100 का पैट दिया है वो, एंड दे आर ऑल्सो गोइंग एक्सट्रीमली अग्रेसिव. एंड देयर इज वन मोर स्मॉल कंपनी इनोविटी करके, विच इज अ वेरी 600 करोड़ टाइप का टॉप लाइन है. बट आई एम जस्ट सीइंग दिस ट्रेंड कि लास्ट ईयर आप डीमार्ट में जाओ तो आपको पाइन लैब का POS दिखता है, तभी इनोवेटी का दिखता है. दिस हैज आई हैव सीन दिस इन गुजरात, आई हैव सीन दिस इन इवन महाराष्ट्र कपल ऑफ प्लेसेस. सो ये नए एंट्रेंट्स आ रहे हैं, एंड बोथ आर हाईली फंडेड कंपनीज, पैसों की किसी पे कोई कमी नहीं है. सो अर्लियर देयर वाज लेस कंपटीशन. कंपटीशन तो इंडिया में हर चीज में रहती है, एंड इट शुड बी, बट I feel the competition has started not heating up, but it has already started. So ये जो मार्जिन्स है ना, ये क्या ये लॉन्ग रन में रह पाएंगे? लाइक आई फील दे शुड इम्प्रूव. रीजन बीइंग, आउट ऑफ इंडिया ओवरसीज में आप देखोगे तो कंपनियां 50-50 60% EBITDA मार्जिन कमाती है. यार इंडिया में दे मेक बेयरली लो डबल डिजिट्स. स्टिल पाइन लैब्स इज मेकिंग दैट मच, बाकी के तो उतना भी नहीं बना रहे. जस्ट लुक एट समवन पेमेंट कंपनीज, यार कुछ भी नहीं बना रहे. दे आर बेयरली मेकिंग 2%, 3%, 1% एडजस्टेड EBITDA मार्जिन्स. Many 80%, 70% are in losses. तो ओवरसीज में एक्सपेंशन करेंगे तो उनके श्योरली मार्जिन्स आर गोइंग टू इम्प्रूव एंड अपसेलिंग क्रॉस सेलिंग इस बिजनेस में बहुत ज्यादा है बट स्टिल व्हेन कंपटीशन कम्स इन द प्राइसिंग पावर्स कम हो जाती है एंड ऑल्सो थिंक कि अभी इंडिया में ना हर स्पेशलिटी चीज के लिए एक नया प्लेयर बन रहा है. लेट्स से फॉर लॉयल्टी देयर इज अ कैपिलरी. If you go into a job related loyalty, there is a spend management, there is a Zaggle. You go into software, there are some other players. So ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि एक बड़ी इंस्टीट्यूशन इन्हीं को टारगेट करे कि भाई आप इनको पूरा बंडल्ड सोल्यूशन दे दो. एंड ऑल्सो थिंक अ स्मॉल मर्चेंट और अ मीडियम साइज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जनरली थिंक्स कि जितना कम कॉम्प्लिकेट करूं उतना अच्छा, कि आप हम पाइन को सबको दे देंगे. बट पाइन इज ऑल्सो टारगेटिंग लाइक दीज गाइज हैव गॉट एसएमई क्लाइंट्स, बट आई फील द रेवेन्यू ड्राइवर्स आर द लार्ज कंपनीज. और लार्ज कंपनीज का इतना बड़ा जीटीवी होता है और इतना बड़ा स्केल होता है कि दीज गाइज कैन अफोर्ड दे कैन मैनेज having 2, 3, 4 vendors towards let's say if इनके फाइनेंशियल के 4 अलग सेगमेंट, चारों के लिए अलग रख दिया, 3 रख दिए, so they can manage those. So there is some competition coming in. एंड ऑल्सो आप इसका ग्रोथ देखोगे ना यार, तो ये साल 15-20% दिख रहा है, जो अगले साल 10-15% हो जाएगा, विच इज वेरी ऑब्वियस गिवन द बेस इफेक्ट. तो क्या आई एम ओके टू पे 30 टाइम्स FY27 ऑन 15% ग्रोथ कंपेयर, बिकॉज देखो वैल्यूएशन 27 में गया तो ग्रोथ भी मैं 27 की पकड़ूंगा, मैं 26 की नहीं लूंगा. वाई देयर शुड बी एप्पल टू एप्पल कंपैरिजन. 27 में आई नो इट कैन नॉट ग्रो बियॉन्ड 15. इफ इट इज डूइंग वो इट शुड बी वाई इनऑर्गेनिक ग्रोथ और या फिर कपल ऑफ परसेंटेज हियर एंड देयर. So I feel it's a pure long-term bet, and I would say कि IPO आप apply मत करो. Let the market discover the price of this company. आप शायद 20% ऊपर लो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट आई फील अप्लाई मत करो. बाद में इसको आराम से लेट मार्केट डिस्कवर द वैल्यू ऑफ इट, उसके बाद आप इसको इवेल्युएट करना. सो लाइक गुड मैनेजमेंट. प्रमोटर्स तो नहीं बोल पाऊंगा, प्रमोटर्स है ही नहीं. मिस्टर अमरीश राव लाइक फेयरली good person, but he is also smart person to give an answer. को पता है किस सवाल का किस तरीके से जवाब देना है, so he is very smart towards it. He has worked in some other institutions जहाँ पे भी he has done well. Private equity investors are always going to come and dump this stock. Reason being वो 10 गुना, 20 गुना, 5 गुना, even largest investor Sequoia is standing at 40 times returns, 39 times precisely. So इसके अंदर ब्लॉक डील्स होते रहेंगी, सप्लाई आता रहेगा. एंड वी सो व्हाट हैपेंड इन मूवी क्विक. प्राइस को डबल किया, सबने एग्जिट किया, नाउ इट इज डम. रिटेलर के गले में माला पहुंच चुकी है अच्छे से. So I'm not saying Pine is a far better company than Mobico. I'm not comparing, but what I'm trying to say कि supply आता रहेगा. And if you can handle that volatility, which Paytm did for like couple of years now, it is doing fairly well. Still not in huge losses, but still doing decent. So आपने देखना चाहिए. Surely a good company, good segment should grow well. Margins are here to expand, and जो भी है वो sustainable है. PAT तो for sure one time था, but वो आ जाएगा. Maybe in Q4 I expect this company to be PAT positive. Q4 of this financial year. So long term bet. Yes, not applying for listing is neither for IPO. मोस्टली लगाया तो रिटेल की मस्ती और कुछ नहीं, बस.
Got it. Thank you, Tanmay. Very similar view. Haven't read the company, so we go with what your view is, and then take a call basis that tomorrow is the last date. Anyways, the IPO doesn't seem to get a lot of excitement. Let's see how. I think it will be barely subscribed, but let's see what happens. We'll try and read the more about the company tomorrow, but today don't have a view. With that, moving forward and talking about the next company, very quickly covering Emmvee Photovoltaic Power. Incorporated in 2007, company is an integrated solar PV module and cell manufacturer. It has a PV module capacity of 8 gigawatt and a solar cell capacity of 3 gigawatt, and has 4 manufacturing units across 2 Karnataka locations on 23 acres. Setting up the IPO, it's a 2,900 crore IPO, out of which 2,100 crore is a fresh issue. 750 crore का OFS है. Market cap 15,000 crores पे आ रही है कंपनी. FY25 फाइनेंशियल्स की बात करो तो रेवेन्यू 2,300 करोड़ का है, पैट 370 करोड़ का है, 370 करोड़ का, 2360 पे 370 का पैट है, यानी अराउंड 15% का मार्जिन है. और कंपनी जो है आई थिंक 45 पीई पे आ रही है ट्रेलिंग FY25 बेसिस पे. 40 या 45 ऐसा कुछ होगा. एलएम की बात करो, एलएम, जेएम, आईएफएल, जेफरीज एंड कोटक है. सो विद दैट ओवर टू सचिन टू टॉक अबाउट एमबी.
All right. So this Emmvee Photovoltaic, they have operations way back from 2008 to 2010, where earlier they used to do this export only for the European and some overseas countries, and now in the current state they are focusing majorly on Indian domestic operations only. So what they do is they make these typical solar products that are visible now: solar cells, solar modules, and along with that they also do EPC work for these cells and modules. 97 to 98% revenues are from B2B, with large developers, discoms, state utilities, etc., and the rest is B2G, government tenders, HOGA, and all sorts of government projects that are coming for the solar cell modules. And the minimal 2 to 3% is for exports, which is now non-existent to say for this Emmvee Photovoltaic, given their market position, where they have a good market share as well, and they are ranked almost second to Vari Energies, who is the giant in this solar cells and modules, and they hold around almost around 5 to 6% share as of May 25, which is the RHP figures, if one can go and check the same. So what they are also doing for the export side, they are also they also have one German subsidiary which was established before the IPO, but the operations are not very much present there. So they haven't dissolved it fully yet. So what they are saying that they have put it on hold, and maybe if this anti China policies uh, go for more for higher than longer, or for a more prolonged period, then they will start global operations as well. But now, given the tariff uncertainty and all of that going around, so they haven't gone for global operations. Now coming to their current capacity, they are around 7.8 gigawatt of modules and 2.94 gigawatt of TOPCon cells. So they are early moving. They have an early advantage to move into this TOPCon cell technology rather than monopug. The current utilization across both is around 50% only, modules and cells, which they have steadily increased from FY23 and FY24 now to FY25 and beyond. They also have around 5.3 to 5.4 gigawatt of order book, which should get executed in around 1 to 1.5 years from now. From the IPO proceeds and going ahead, they will also need some debt and some internal accruals. They are targeting to increase the modules by 2.5 gigawatts, and in FY26 and quarter one of FY27. And in FY27, they will further go for more higher modules, around 5 to 6 gigawatt of more modules and 6 gigawatt of cells as well. That whole project will cost around 5,000 to 5,500 CR, which they will take some debt and some internal accrual. 60/40 ratio is what they are mentioning. So overall, for next 2 to 3 years, by FY28, they are targeting around 16.3 gigawatt of modules and around 9 gigawatt of cell capacity, from the current capacity that they have, around 2 to 2.5 more than that. Now coming to their financials, in FY23 they did around 644 CR of revenues with 9% EBITDA, and in FY24 that got a good jump, around 944 CR with 13% EBITDA. In FY25, now when this capacity and all of those gigawatt orders and everything combined, the revenues grew up very good, around 2,360 CR of revenues with 30% EBITDA and 15% PAT margins. Given that they also have the cell and module both in their operations, so they are likely getting higher margins because of that backward integration. Till this quarter one of FY26, they have already done around 1,042 CR of revenues, and the EBITDA has also gone up around 33% EBITDA and 18% PAT margins. Now, what they are saying that we will grow around 35 to 40% CAGR every year from now on, around from 2 to 3 years time now. So they should clock around 4,000 to or 4,200 CR of revenues for FY26, and more and similar 35% CAGR for FY27 and beyond. Now coming to some risk for this, the debt is which they are paying from the IPO funds. They will again need some debt going ahead for that 2 to 3x capacity expansion. So that will further keep the balance sheet constrained. now, and also that the client concentration is there, but not much very significant because of the quality and their share in these modules and cells that they are already operating. So that is one thing from there. Now for the IPO use, after apart from the OFS, the fresh issue is for 1600 CR they will use for loan repayment, and the balance they will use for general corporate purpose only. Now, given the IP pricing, it's near 40 times FY25. But if we factor that growth for whatever numbers they are mentioning, it's 20 times FY26 and probably 15 to 16 times FY27. So their pricing is done keeping in the forward valuations, given that both Vari and Premier, who have a good share in modules and cells, so they are trading similar or maybe somewhat higher than in on forward basis than this Emmvee. Anchor list just came out. We saw Abu Dhabi Fund was there, ICICI Prudential, SBI and Franklin has taken around 7.6% share each. Also, Amundi Fund is also there. So these are some notable names in the anchor list. For the final thing, I think it should do good given how Satvik recently performed. Satvik is a much smaller player than this, less on capacity as well as on both modules and cell lines. But this should get good traction because the Q2 results will also come in, and the cell and everything that they are operating, they are just second best to Vari in this. So Vari has that higher multiple thing because of being a complete energy player of doing everything, green hydrogen, BESS, etc. So after that, we should give some valuations to this Emmvee only. But the players are already too much in this segment, so not very high valuations, but decent enough for whatever growth they are projecting. So personally, we'll be applying to this Emmvee. That's all.
Got it. Thanks, Tanmay. Yeah, it seems like one of those issues which can be applied to simply because it's coming at very good valuations. 12-13 time पे आ रहा है forward पे तो like, but industry in itself has derated so much that that is a risk, right? Like, इतने सारी कंपनियां आई हैं. Like, I remember जब वो Premier Energies आया था तो everybody was like कि भाई क्या growth है. Everybody is coming with the same growth but getting no multiple now simply because there are 10 players which are there right now. So which is a risk. So keep that in mind. But again, it's a good player. It's a decent player with very good forward numbers. So I think चल जाएगा. But IPO में चलेगा कि नहीं पता नहीं. उसके बाद ही कहीं चलेगा. I think like it will go back with the pack and then probably everything will get derated together is what my best guess is. But yeah, that was with respect to Emmvee. With that, moving forward and talking about Physicswallah. Setting up the company, incorporated in 2020. Company is a edtech company offering test preparation for courses for various competitions like JEE, NEET, UPSC, etc. And also for data science, analytics, banking, finance, software development, etc. It's one of the top 5 edtech companies in India in terms of revenue, and it has 13.7 plus million subscribers on YouTube. Setting up the IPO, it's a 3500 crore IPO, 31 crore का fresh issue है. Pretty big fresh issue. 400 crores का OFS है. Market cap 31,000 crores का है. Very high market cap पर से. FY25 financials की बात करें तो revenue 3,000 crores का है. Crazy. 3,000 crores का revenue है कंपनी का. PAT -243 है. LM की बात करें तो LM, Kotak, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs and Axis है. So with that, over to you, Rohit, to talk about Physicswallah.
Thanks, Manish. Hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Okay, I'll assume that I'm audible. So I'll keep this one quick. I think you've given me a 7-minute deadline. So Physicswallah, as you've mentioned, is a 5-year-old tech company, which is very interesting because they've gotten to whatever they've done so far all post-COVID. So it launched post-COVID. And it started as a YouTube channel by Mr. Alak Pandey, who is a teacher. And he started by doing physics classes online during COVID without really any expectations of making money. And that has now become a 3,000 crore revenue and 30,000 crore market cap business. So this company offers test prep courses for competitive exams. This is exams like JEE, NEET, Foundation, UPSC. Apart from that, they provide courses for upskilling. So they have, I think, 13 different educational courses that they cover, and I think they do everything except pre-KG, the KG kind of stuff. They do courses for kids across this entire segment. They deliver these courses using a mix of online and offline and what they call hybrid. And today they operate around 300 offline stores, offline centers, apart from everything that they do online. Now, today their revenue is about 50-50 online versus offline. So as you had mentioned, Manish, they are one of the top 5 education companies in terms of revenue in India. They're also the largest in terms of student community. Their main YouTube channel has how much? 13. I think their main YouTube channel has almost 13 million people subscribers. Their overall YouTube community has I think almost 100 million subscribers. Overall, across all their social media, I think they have almost 130 13 crores, 130 million subscribers, which is again fantastic because that is a very strong community from which you can eventually monetize. So I'll tell you what I like about this. There's a lot of things that are actually very interesting and impressive about this company. So firstly, EdTech has had a very bad name over the last, say, 2-3 years with the fall of Byju's. This has been one EdTech company, and I remember 2-3 years ago, say 4-5 years ago, all EdTech companies were getting funded left, right, and center. And 2-3 years ago, that completely stopped. The party stopped when Byju's ended. And this company has actually just grown from strength to strength. This was one of the few companies that managed to raise money, 2 years or 3 years ago when everyone else was, almost every EdTech company had died and there was not a single person willing to fund it. This company actually managed to raise in that environment. So whatever they've done it very thoughtfully, very scalably, and they've built something very different from everyone else. So what is it that I like? Firstly, they have a massive paying subscriber base. They have 45 lakh people who pay for their courses. In India, it's no joke to have 45 lakh people paying for something, that too in just 5 years. They operate on a very low, so they operate with a very low price point. So online, they charge on an average just 4,000 rupees, whereas your Byju's of the world, most of the online players used to charge anywhere from 40,000, 50,000, 1 lakh per course. These guys have gone the other way. They've said we want to make it as accessible as possible, and they've proven that by having such a large number of customers. The second thing is they have a crazy community. Like I mentioned, almost 13 crore people. That is 130 million people across all of their social media channels, majority on YouTube. So that is very powerful because that's an organic base that has been built, which can then be monetized. They're also extremely outcome focused, probably the most important thing in any education business. And you'll see that with most, let's say, a JEE coaching class. They'll tell you how many people in the previous year's JEE, how many people were their students, and they'll have someone who would have just come and done one test in their class. And that person will be paraded as someone who's successfully went and solved JEE just because of that one thing. But that's a very common way to market. And it's a very organic way to market. The better your outcomes, the more people will come because they think, you can replicate that outcome for them. So they have, I think, almost like this. These are some numbers just off the top of my head based on some interviews I saw. I think 1 in 3 people who get selected for IAS are through them. 1 in 3 people for IPS. I think half of the top 50 rankers in CA are from them. I think the most number of IITians, the most number of doctors through these competitive exams are all through Physicswallah. Now, I'm taking these numbers on face value. It's possible that, I don't know exactly how they measure it, whether someone is their student or whether they just watched one class and then, succeeded. But whatever it is, at least their thinking is very outcome focused. And that is one more thing I liked. That's the right way to view a EdTech business. Because their price points are so low, just 4,000 rupees. 45 lakh is also a small number. There are 300 crores or 30 crores, 300 million students in India. If only 45 lakh are paying, they still have the opportunity to, grow 2, 3, 4, 5x from where they are and still be a small part of the overall market. So I still think that there's a long way to go from a growth runway. Their team is also very impressive. You have one teacher and you have one business guy, so you need a mix of both. As Mani said, majority is fresh issue, so that is also very good. It's unlike most of the IPOs that come at this stage. Very good that a lot of the money is going into further investments. I think nobody is really exiting. The promoters are not exiting. Investors are not exiting. And then they, of course, have a lot of technology, which I leave you guys to see online or just listen to some interviews to get a sense. They use technology for their classrooms, use it for doubt solving, for grading, so a bunch of things. So this company is actually very unique. The speed of growth and the scale that it has gotten to is phenomenal. We've also done a bunch of acquisitions to get into different segments that are gaps for them, whether it's the government services or whatever, different types of education courses that they don't have. They've done it through a mix of organic and inorganic. Just to come to their numbers, their growth has been phenomenal. To grow from 0 to 3,000 crore in 5 years is nothing short of amazing. Even the last quarter, which is Q1, at this scale, they're growing at 35%, which is, again, excellent. It's better than almost all the other, with the exception of quick commerce, it is better than all the other new age companies where 23 to 25% is generally where they are. Now, last year, they did around 400 odd crore of adjusted EBITDA. As per, I think 430 crore or something is what they've put in their document. Now, again, there are different ways in which you adjust the EBITDA, unfortunately. One thing I'll just mention before that is on the P&L. You'll see that in 24 and 25, there was, they were like significantly negative in 24 and a little negative in 25. A lot of that has to do with this thing called, when you have these CCPS, which is technically it's a debt instrument. And even though it is intended to work like equity, it is done as a debt instrument. So there is no price that is determined at that point. Now, when a price gets determined, when it gets aligned to whatever value, say that a subsequent equity round happens at, there is some value that is lost, which is an accounting value that is lost. And that turns up as this fair value, I'm forgetting the exact term, but that turns up as some 800 crore 2 years back and 200 crore last year. So just remember that their PAT is actually not even that bad. They've generally been EBITDA break even, or like say last year about 400 crore EBITDA. If you remove these things which are not really accounting, which are not really cash flow or cash things, more of an accounting thing. So these guys should grow. I've seen some projections. Tanmay had gotten some projections, so I've seen them. This company should grow 30% over the next 3 years, which is, again, I'd say elite, which is excellent. Maybe 35% also. They're coming at around 25 times 2 year forward EBITDA, which is, again, not that bad for the segment. It's somewhat similar to what Lenskart had come at, where your Nykas, Zomatos, and most of the new age companies trade at 30, 35, 40 times. I've seen some estimates they trade at 50 times also, depending on the estimate. So this coming at around 25 times EBITDA, while being, while delivering solid EBITDA, is again quite interesting. Now, the anchor book just came half an hour ago. It was decent, though it's a lot of MFs, which of course people don't pay too much attention to now. But some decent funds, and I saw Helios as well, which is generally considered a very good fund that invests in new age companies. They were not there in most of the recent ones, but they're actually there in this one. Capital Group was there, and a few other large FIs were also there. But yeah, it wasn't a A+ anchor book, though, I'll be honest. This Think Investments did a very large round. They bought ESOPs at a 17% premium to the IPO right now, which again is probably to help set the price. But clearly there is institutional demand at a price that is 15% or 17% higher than the IPO price. And that's sort of like a locked in amount. So again, I thought that was a very good signaling at least. I share a similar view as what I did at Lenskart. I think this is a very good company. It's actually growing faster than everyone, so even faster than Lenskart. It actually ticks a lot of my boxes from a new age company. They are, if you see the cash flows also, not just the EBITDA, but just look at the cash flow also, last year they generated 500 crore of cash, which is again very, very good. So maybe a little expensive, you could say, but it's also growing really fast. It's coming at, I think, 10 times price to sales, probably 8 times price to sales for this year. But this is a very high gross margin business. It's like a 75-80% gross margin business. This is not a difficult business to turn profitable, just the way they have built it. So, and when I say profitable, I mean significantly profitable also. So I think this is actually a pretty interesting. It's probably one of the better ones that have come in my view. What they've achieved in like just 4-5 years is phenomenal. So I am actually genuinely looking at this as something I might hold for some time, not just look at it as an IPO flip to price listing, so no idea what will happen. But this looks like an interesting one, different segment. I quite like this company, and I might actually look at this as a core holding also.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you, Rohit. Again, this is
actually. So आज तक इन्होंने ना मतलब $200 million रेस किया फ्रॉम PE फंड्स, और उनके बुक्स पे $300 million पड़ा है. मतलब एक्चुअली टेक्निकली इन्होंने किसी भी फंडिंग के बगैर इतना ग्रोथ किया है, that is without any kind of funding, so which is actually a very big thing, which is not really normal to look in Indian startups.
Yes, agree. Completely agree. It's very, very, very rare.
EdTech as a segment is something which I don't understand. But yeah, let's see. That was with respect to Physicswallah. We'll see. I'm not sure. I will probably skip the company. But there are just so many that we'll see closer to the date. That is what my view is right now. But yeah, with that, we'll move forward to the one last issue, Tenneco Clean Air. We'll try and wrap it up quickly, Tanmay, 7 minutes. Setting up the company incorporated in 2018, company is a subsidiary of Tenneco a global leader in designing and manufacturing clean air and powertrain solutions, products for automotive applications. In terms of the IPO, at this 3600 crore का IPO है, 3600 crores, all of which is a OFS, बड़ा IPO है ये भी. Market cap 1600 crores पे company आ रही है. 16,000, so $2 billion टाइप की वैल्यूएशन है. FY25 फाइनेंशियल्स की बात करें तो रेवेन्यू 4900 crores का है, पैट 500 crores का है. थैंक गॉड, दिस इज वन ऑफ दोस ओल्ड कंपनीज, बोरिंग कंपनीज जिसका पैट होता है एंड अच्छा पैट होता है. इट्स कमिंग एट लाइक 30 times. ग्रोथ देखना पड़ेगा कितना है. एलएम की बात करें तो एलएम, जेएम, सिटी, एक्सेस एंड एचएसबीसी. सो विद दैट ओवर टू तन्मय टू टॉक अबाउट द नेक्स्ट.
Okay, so Tenneco Clean Air India Limited is a Indian arm of Apollo Global, which is one of the world's leading private equity funds. Owned Tenneco Inc., which is a USA listed $10 billion kind of a valuation company, which has got. So I'll give you a background of this company. So it is a very fairly old company, based out of US, automotive global leader in few specific components. So it was acquired by Apollo Global P fund in 2022 at somewhat around $7.1 billion valuation, and now it's a private company. Now it is not a listed. Earlier it was a listed company. So I feel now it should be valued at somewhat around $19 billion. So the parent company does somewhat around कितना था 16 18 19,000 करोड़ टाइप का. नहीं, इससे ज्यादा करता है. I guess this was at standalone level, so इससे बहुत ज्यादा revenue. And also let me tell you that they also have got a listed company which this Tenneco Inc. owns a listed company in India already, which is Federal Mogul. I guess 2,000 crore type का market cap है, trading at somewhat around 10-15 P. It is also automotive component company, but the portfolio is different from the companies getting listed now. So, by the way, the parent has somewhat around 93 facilities across 26 countries. So, it is a fairly large company. So this Indian entity specializes in emission control systems, powertrain technologies, performance solutions for off-highway vehicles, commercial trucks, light vehicles, auto parts. Also, gets its application in industrials, like generator sets and light CVs, etc. In India, they have got 12 facilities. 7 are for clean air and powertrain solutions, and 5 are for advanced ride technologies. So I'll read out the clients, fairly large clients. Maruti Suzuki, Ford, Nissan, Hyundai, Kia, Volvo, Cummins India, JCB, Bajaj, Tata Motors, Mahindra and Mahindra, TVS, Eicher, Winfast, Thailand, Kirloskar, and many more. Total 60-70 clients. So this is India's largest supplier of clean air solutions with 60%, 60% market share. Largest supplier of shock absorbers and struts. In Also in engine bearing, somewhat around 40% market share. In sealing solutions, 14%. Ignition, 18% for passenger vehicles. In catalytic converters, they are market leaders. Exhaust pipes are one of the market leaders. So it's a fairly large, old organization. They are raising 3600 crores, completely an offer for sale. So it has been just the second IPO of this year जहाँ पे IPO का size is more than what DRHP was filed. First was Rubicon, and second is this. So it had filed for 3,000, but the IPO is coming off 3,600. And also 400 का और एक secondary placement हुआ था जिसके अंदर investors like SBI, Access, Vito Capital, 360 which is IFL, Kotak Life Insurance, Think India, 3P, Thrip Equity, which is Prashant Jain's fund, and also VQ Faster Cap, which is Ravi Dharamji's fund, had invested. So total technically इनका 16,023 के market cap पे 4,000 का raise है, which is a typical MNC mindset कि यार मतलब I know few MNCs जिनका 75 के खाली एक ही share diluted है. There are even such kind of companies is like hardly 74.95 something. So they have diluted 25.05% equity towards this raise, and total 4,000 crore raise कर रही है. Talking on its financials, देखो financials में इसको बड़े अच्छे से सुनना, because there are 2-3 things like why the growth has not happened, how to look at this company, इसको थोड़ा सा समझाऊंगा मैं. So in FY23 the company did a revenue of 4,827 crores with an EBITDA of 571 crores, 11.8% का EBITDA margin. PAT was at 336 crores, 7.5%. So अब एक चीज देखना, मैं जो आपको पैट बता रहा हूँ, दिस एन एडजस्टेड पैट, नॉट अ पैट विच इज ऑन द पीएनएल. इसका जो एडजस्टेड पैट है वो कम है. वो कम क्यों है वो मैं आपको बाद में बताता हूँ. सो वॉट एवर नंबर्स आई एम टेलिंग, दोज आर द नंबर जिसको आपको उसको देख के इस कंपनी को वैल्यू करो, नाइदर जो आपको पीएनएल पे लिखते हो और जो मैं बताऊंगा तो कम नंबर से दैन द पीएनएल. ठीक है, तो अच्छे से सुनना. FY24 the company did a revenue of 5,467 crores, which was a jump of 13% approx. EBITDA was at 612 crores, 11.2% का margin. Margins dropped by 60 bips, and PAT was at 364 crores, जो आपको P&L पे 417 दिख रहा है. In 25, the company did a revenue of 4,890 crores, which was a degrowth of 10.6%, EBITDA of 815 crores, which was 16.7% margin. सब बोलेंगे जादू हो गया 11.2 से 16.7 IPO के पहले कैसे होगा. So I'll tell you that. And PAT was at 522 crores, जो आपको P&L पे 533 दिख रहा है, which was like somewhat around 11.1% का margin. So आपको इस कंपनी को इस तरीके से देखना है, नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ रेवेन्यू विच इज शोन यू. सो आपको मैंने जो रेवेन्यू बताया दैट वाज एक्सक्लूडिंग अदर इनकम. अदर इनकम अलग है, ठीक है, दिस इज एन ऑपरेटिंग रेवेन्यू. सो यू लुक एट कंटेंट पर व्हीकल, okay, which is also known as VAR, value added revenue. So which has inched up, like अभी FY23 में value added revenue was 3,902, but पूरे साल का it was 4,827. फिर 3,902 का 4,267 हुआ, फिर FY25 में 4,380, Q1 में it was 1,166. अभी ये कंटेंट पर व्हीकल और वैल्यू एडेड रेवेन्यू में क्या चीज है. सो इनका एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है विच इज इसका एक कुछ तो वर्ड था, आई एम नॉट एबल टू गेट इट. सो इन दैट दीज गाइज पुट इन a layer of precious metals, which is of course silver. दूसरा कोई नहीं होता जो इस पे लगेगा. सिल्वर का एक कोटिंग होता है which is for XYZ reasons. It might have its own automotive properties, which like I haven't at least studied. मतलब I was I did not had that time to go through it in depth. So that content of precious metals, the clients had said to take it down to cut the कहते हैं कॉस्टिंग पर व्हीकल खेलो. सो ये जो आपको वैल्यू एडेड रेवेन्यू, दिस इज द नेट रेवेन्यू, मतलब विच इज आफ्टर टेकिंग दैट प्रेशियस मेटल का लेयरिंग कॉस्ट. So you look at this, but इसका भी frankly CAGR is somewhat around 3%, which is actually less. अभी कोई बोलेगा कि यार Q1 में it has done somewhat around 145 का पैड. एक्चुअली 168 is on books, but in reality it is 145. तो कि भाई साल का बड़ा अच्छा हो जाएगा, somewhat around 650-700. बट माइंडवेल like I just saw कि इसका Q1 component के of the VAR, value added revenue, or of the EBITDA or of the PAT. So इसका Q1 ना slightly heavy, like somewhat around 27-28% of the revenue, 28-29% of VAR, and PAT में भी somewhat around 26-27%. So इसको ऐसे नहीं देखना है like a normal company की H2 heavy है तो भाई इसका PAT धमाकेदार आ जाएगा, PE नीचे आ जाएगा. So not look at that way. Q1 actually is slightly heavier. अब मेरे को Q4 नहीं पता, रीजन में Q4 मेरे पास है नहीं, बट Q1 आई हैव ऑफ लास्ट ईयर एंड दिस ईयर, एंड इट लुक्स की Q1 is a decent portion of the whole year's revenue. So one always issue in this की क्या कैपेसिटी है कंपनी के. We saw this in ये क्या कंपनी था जिसका IPO हुआ था, करारो, जिसमें एक ही प्रॉब्लम था, कैपेसिटी नहीं है ग्रोथ करने के लिए. सो दैट स्टॉक हैड फॉल्ड लाइक एनीथिंग. इसका अगर मैं देखूं तो क्लीन एयर में समवॉट अराउंड कोल्ड एंड प्रोडक्ट में 55% था, हॉट एंड में 81% था, एडवांस साइड वो समवॉट अराउंड 83%, और एक दो चीजें थी समवॉट अराउंड 80%. सो ब्लेंडेड इफ यू लुक इट इज द capacity utilization is somewhat around 75-78%, which is decent. I saw some of its components का utilization going till 105%. I know वो होता है. It is maybe due to the dual shifts, dual or three shifts, whatever it is. So they've got no space to further expand for. I feel next couple of years they'll need capex for sure, but अगले 2 साल के लिए इनको ग्रोथ कैटर हो जाएगी. सो कैपेसिटी इज नॉट अ कंसर्न. बुक्स पे ऑलमोस्ट समवॉट अराउंड 600 करोड़ का कैश पड़ा है. सो पैसा भी है कंपनी पे, ऐसा नहीं है कि उनको, और डेट फ्री कंपनी, जीरो डेट ऑन द बुक्स. अभी इफ यू लुक एट, बाय द वे इसका रेशियो थोड़ा डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. रिटर्न ऑन कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड 61%, which is amazing. Free cash flow is to EBITDA is somewhat around 60-65%, which is also very fairly good. ROE is somewhat around 50%, which is good. Working capital days had inched up from 7 days to 13 days, but still 13 days का वर्किंग कैपिटल होना, यही बात बहुत, मतलब 13 क्या, मैं तो 23 को भी बहुत अच्छा मानता हूँ. बट यस, इन FY23 it was somewhat around 7 or 8 days, I guess. अभी 13 हुआ है. डोंट नो व्हाई दैट हैज इंक्रीज, बट स्टिल 13 days इज ऑल्सो फिनोमिनल. जनरली नहीं देख पाते हो आप ये. अभी इसका पीयर कंपैरिजन कर लेते हैं. सो पीयर कंपैरिजन में दिस गाइस समवॉट अराउंड 10 पीयर्स. उन्होंने बॉश दिखाया, शारदा दिखाया, टिमकेन दिखाया, एसकेएफ है, जेडएफ है, गैब्रियल है, आपका और क्या था, और उनो मिंडा था, और बहुत सारी चीजें, बहुत सारे लोग थे. बट फिर लुक एट दी पी मल्टीपल्स, इनका रेंज बहुत लॉन्ग है यार. इट स्टार्ट फ्रॉम 9.5, which is शारदा, to somewhat around 75 times, which is your Gabriel and this guy, Uno Minda. Bosch is somewhat at 55, Timken is at 50, SKF is at somewhat around, SKF का नहीं, ZF का 54 times. So it looks कि इनके बड़े ज्यादा है multiple. You look from a flip side. बॉश के अंदर आपका हेवी टूल्स का बिजनेस है, हेवी इंजीनियरिंग का है, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स का भी है, एंड दैट कंपनी इज ग्रोइंग एट समवॉट अराउंड 20%. Valuated it might be slightly 2% higher. Uno Minda is also growing well. Gabriel, Anand Group का company. Anand Group is on a different level growth at this point. Look at someone like ZF. They are into steerings and different. That is also a different player compared to, not comparable. Sharda actually is a comparable of this company, sharing a 10p. Sharda का उसका portfolio, I'm not saying completely match, but like it overlaps, decent overlapping है than the others. Timken is also a different. इनका वो precision, small precision engineering का भी बहुत अच्छा business है. SKF का वो bearings में भी बहुत बड़ा portfolio है, which is like their India's largest in bearings, like Harsha types, Harsha engineer जैसा portfolio इनका भी. So टेक्निकली ये जो peers है ना, ये बहुत सारे दिए हुए हैं, बट एप्पल टू एप्पल कंपेरेबल नहीं है. आई फील इन सबका ग्रोथ स्टार्ट होता है फ्रॉम 15%, which goes till 35. सोना BLW is also given, which is also growing at 25%. But yes, recent demise of Mr. Kapoor वो थोड़ा सा गिरा है, but that is a separate matter. But still it is trading at somewhat around 40 times is what I can remember top of my head. तो अब आप इसको EV EBITDA पे भी देखोगे तो this is valued at 19 times 25 and 16.5 times 26, which is not cheap actually. So growth is a problem. रिसेंटली जो दोनों लिस्टिंग्स हुई ना, स्टड्स की और ओरकला की, बोथ वेर अमेजिंग कंपनीज विच केम एट फेयरली अट्रैक्टिव वैल्यूएशन. बट क्यों नहीं चली? 2 रीजन. फर्स्ट, मार्केट अच्छा नहीं, दूसरा ग्रोथ नहीं है. ग्रोथ मतलब स्टड्स तो फिर भी यार, इट वाज सेइंग 15%, ओरकला वाज एट 4-5%, दिस गाइस एट 2-3%. तो इट इज चीप, इट इज अट्रैक्टिव, और पी लेवल इट लुक्स के एमएनसी कंपनी. सो इसकी अच्छी बात कर लेते हैं पहले. फेयरली स्टैब्लिश ब्रांड, यूएसओ. आजकल का जो ऑटोमोटिव का जमाना, पिछले 1.5 साल से, इट इज अ टेक्नोलॉजी बैक्ड की कॉन्सेप्ट दी है आपके ऑटोमोटिव ओईएम ने कि हमको ये करके चाहिए, आप उसको 10-15 दिन 40 दिन में डिलीवर करके दो. वेरी फ्यू कंपनीज, आई फील हाफ अ डजन कंपनीज हैव गॉट दोस कैपेबिलिटीज. टेनेको इज वन ऑफ दोस. क्योंकि टेनेको की जो पेरेंट कंपनी, उस पर ना समवॉट अराउंड 200-300 पेटेंट्स यार. तो फॉर देम टेकिंग दैट टेक्नोलॉजी by paying some fees actually very easy to that tech transfer, and they have got fairly good R&D team. Absolute stunning balance sheet, solid cash flows, solid management, good promoters. Apollo Global itself is a giant private equity company. फ्यूचर में देखेगा और नहीं बेचेगा, is what I feel. बेचेगा तो we don't know. End of the day it's a PE fund. तो इसका मैं वैल्यूएशन पे देखूं ना, तो यार 27-28 टाइम 26 का पीस एक्चुअली नॉट चीप. But if when you compare it with MNC kind of automotive backed companies, they are somewhere around 40-50 times. So मेरा व्यू इसमें ये है ना कि यार देर आर प्रीमियम्स, पीपल आर सेइंग कि यार 25-30 का पीस सस्ता है, इट लुक्स सस्ता है बट ग्रोथ भी नहीं है. सो द ग्रोथ हैज बीन टैकल्ड बाय कीपिंग द वैल्यूएशंस अट्रैक्टिव. आई डोंट सी दे आर वेरी अट्रैक्टिव, दे आर रीजनेबल. मतलब अच्छा, दे हैव डन एवरीथिंग टू कीप इट प्रॉपर, बट ऐसा नहीं कि बहुत ही मुंह में पानी आने जैसे वैल्यूएशन. नो, नॉट दैट वे. सो आई फील इसके अंदर स्मॉल रिस्क टेकर्स कैन बेट फॉर स्मॉल लिस्टिंग गेन्स. 10-15% मेरे को दिखते हुए बनते हुए. एंड फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म आप उसमें थोड़ा, आई फील इसका Q2 का रिजल्ट आने दो, लेट द मैनेजमेंट कमेंट्री कम्स इन. क्योंकि इफ द कमेंट्री इज एनीथिंग बिलो 10% विच इज लाइकली, ये स्टॉक इट वोंट परफॉर्म दैट वेल. It is not Bellrise Industries की यार, that was even growing at 15%, reason being दो acquisitions करे थे उन्होंने 600 करोड़ के टाइप्स के revenues के. So there was a valuation arbitrage, market rewarded it, but not necessarily this will also get rewarded. So long term देख सकते हो, but wait for the Q2 results and the con call. If that are good, you can the 5-10% ऊपर लो, but you take it after getting that comfort. And I feel इसको apply कर सकते हो. This is not a, I don't see this getting listed in negative, and I feel it should deliver some listing in. As risk is always, the market is not that great. Reason being, I expect some of the coming IPOs to disappoint again on listing, so there might be some turmoil in terms of sentiments, but it's a fairly good company, can be applied. Long term, थोड़ा बाद में देखना, listing थोड़ा बहुत देना चाहिए. I can be wrong surely.
Got it, got it. Sorry. Thank you so much, Tanmay, for your view. Um, like growth बिल्कुल भी नहीं है क्या? Like we'll have to see the growth because
अरे 11% डिग्रोथ है यार 25 में.
अच्छा, okay.
But content per vehicle is growing at 2.6% CAGR, which is actually very less.
Okay, got it, got it. ठीक है, देखते हैं. It's a MNC. We'll still have to study the company. So still some
Carrero भी MNC था इससे बड़ा.
नहीं वो तो भाई वो तो अगर उसमें एटलीस्ट तो दिख ही रहा था कि भाई उसकी कैपेक्स ही फुल हो रखी है कैपेसिटी और वो ओएफएस कर रहा है तो डर ही गया था मैं तो उससे. बट हाँ इसमें मैंने पढ़ी नहीं है अभी सो आई कांट रियली हैव अ व्यू बट आई विल
No,
रीड
it is
अबाउट
a
इट.
significantly better company, but वही है ना यार, मार्केट बड़ा खराब है यार अभी का. मतलब that market was actually not that bad, still it got very badly, मतलब बहुत ही बुरा हालत था उसके स्टॉक का. I don't feel this is a fairly better company.
Got it. Yeah, that is with respect to Tenneco. But yeah, with that, we have covered the 7 companies that we had to talk about. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. With that, we have covered all the companies of this week. We'll see you back on weekend. I will put this page by tomorrow morning. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.